afterwards. But welcome, everybody. I think we kind of just did introductions with this small group, but it's so nice to see you all, and glad you could be here and join us for Thrive Through the Season, tips for staying healthy and happy through the hectic holidays. Maybe some of you are already feeling it. And we know what a busy time of year this is. So we thank you for being here and commend you for showing up and dedicating time to yourself and your well-being. So my name is Michelle, and I'm delighted to be co-hosting this webinar today. Before we get started, just a couple housekeeping items. As we talked about, we would really love for this to be interactive, especially with such a small group. So if it's possible and available to you, please turn on your cameras. And then we're going to be doing some chat prompts throughout the presentation. So if you would be so kind as to engage with us there, that'll make for much more fun and interaction. And then we'll probably take questions at the end to make sure we get through everything. But if you have a question, pop it in the chat and we'll see if we can get to it. Otherwise, you can ask it live at the end. So with that said, let's dive into introductions. I don't think we need much. Britta, if you want to go to the next slide, I'll just give you a little overview of who we are. So as I mentioned, I'm Michelle Biavant. I am a recruiter by trade, but I'm a health and wellness advocate and aspiring coach. So I'm passionate about all things health and wellness with a focus on nutrition. And last year, I completed the 8-week online nutrition science certification through Stanford Center for Education. And as part of this journey, I was fortunate enough to be introduced to Britta Nelson, who has over 25 years of experience in business development and corporate training, and now brings yoga, breathwork, wellness education to companies and individuals through her company, Britta Nelson Wellness. And as some of you probably know, she's a certified health coach, a certified vinyasa and kundalini yoga instructor, an intuitive mindful eater, a whole plant-based nutrient-dense food advocate, a food opportunarian, and has a sustainable relationship with sugar, so, which I'm sure we'll talk about later on. But with that said, Britta, I'll turn it over to you.
Great. Yeah, if anyone has, and Michelle, I'm so glad we're doing this together. Yeah, it's been so much fun. And Marissa, thank you for introducing us. If you have any, as we kind of talk along the way, some of these titles might mean something. The main thing, food opportunarian, I don't subscribe to any specific diet except for eating a whole plant-based, a lot of whole plant-based nutrient-dense foods. But I also will eat gelato in Italy, pizza, I over a 4.5-year time period of stepping away from eating sugar years ago, totally redefined my relationship to sugar, to food, and really just, my body. So it's been a fun journey. People joke with me, it's been about a 30-year journey. And my friend's like, you can't tell people that. They won't be motivated. I'm like, well, that's basically what the health journey is. It's long and slow and fun, and you just can't have like all these crazy expectations. So just enjoy the process. So Richard Rohr, don't know if anybody's read from him. He's an author of Falling Upward. He said, we were meant to thrive and not just survive. What do you guys feel like thriving means? And you're welcome to throw that into the chat or just to say out loud. What is thriving to you?
A level of above, just kind of the ordinary, I think, or doing your best,
Doing your best. Okay. And then just like a step above, just like norm. Okay. Any other thoughts?
Yeah, I think it can be defined by what it isn't. And I mean, surviving is just kind of, you wake up, you go to work, you do this, you do that, and you just kind of do that, the routine, and you're not really living. You're not really, seems like maybe you don't have a purpose. Maybe you don't, yeah, it's just, there's a difference between that and actually, evolving and taking it to the next level. Yeah.
I love it. Thank you, Jason. That's such a great defining it by what it isn't. Yeah. Does anyone else have anything they want to throw in there? Gallup, we've probably all heard, they do a lot of studies. Gallup regularly does a life evaluation index globally and then nationally. And so I'm just taking United States figures of a massive study that they did to evaluate life index, career, finances, physical health, social health, community, financial, career. So I think I hit all the main ones there. So they just said, do you feel that you are thriving, suffering, struggling, or suffering? So thrive, struggle, suffer. Less than 50% of people in the United States actually feel they're thriving. The big window, the big place is the suffer or the struggling. 45% of our nation is struggling right now, and about 6% feel that they are really suffering. So how sad is that? Only half of our country really feels like they're like at that step that Jason is saying, like, I'm figuring it out and I'm like, really in it. And our real thing about this was just like, how do we, and holidays, do we feel like the holidays sometimes represent struggle and suffer when you're running around and chaotic and checkbooks are getting drawn and things like that. So we wanted to create this class so that we help people have some tips for staying grounded, energized, and feeling like you finish the year and the season thriving and go into the new year feeling more hopeful and optimistic about thriving.
I have to just tell you, Britta, that is perfect in that my word of impact for 2025 was thrive. So isn't that like amazing?
Wow. Wow. I love it.
Did you?
Yeah.
Well, I had my moments, but
Yeah. Perspective is part of thriving.
Yeah.
So on our next
definitely
slide,
thriving more than struggling or
suffering.
suffering. Yeah, for sure.
Your Facebook page looks very thriveful.
Thriveful.
I took a lot of trips.
The Buddha says your body is precious. Treat it with care. And I guess the question is, why does it matter to treat our bodies well? And some of these will kick it back for questions, but some of that I'm just posing that out there. But if you feel like you want to chime in, please throw it into the chat. Studies about not taking care of ourselves show us highly heightened stress, burnout, which leads to impatience, which leads to lack of availability and presence with other people. Not caring for ourselves leads to depression, anxiety, lack of health, lack of wellness. This strains relationships. This reduces our ability to connect and have compassion with other people. We feel more sick. Stress then makes us usually overeat, neglect our goals. So caring for ourselves is really an important quality all the time, but especially when we're being uber tapped into to have this Christmas or holiday spirit of like care and joy for all. And when we're tired, that makes it a little bit more challenging. So we think it's great that you've shown up today so soon into the season to take a moment to listen and find out some tips for how you can take care of yourselves. We're going to start with tuning in. So just as I'm kind of talking through this, I want everyone to start kind of getting into a position where they've uncrossed their legs. You're sitting up straight. Long, tall spine. And as I'm talking, I just want to talk about arriving in the moment. We're going to do an activity that hopefully acts as a little template for you throughout the holiday. I'm going to get you grounded, and then we're going to move into just five breaths of an inhale of 4 counts through your nose and an exhale of 6 counts through your mouth. If at any point that feels too long, just the formula is long, slow inhale, longer, slower exhale. And I'll tell you briefly about why. So 4 in, 6 out. We're going to just do 5 of those breaths. But first, I'm going to invite you to come into a long, tall spine. Close your eyes if that feels comfortable. Relax your shoulders down. And just start to notice your body, how you're feeling in this moment. Do you feel hungry or satiated? feeling energized or fatigued? How is your heart? Is it racing or calm? Just notice your breath. Is it shallow or deep? Fast or slow? Just sensing what your body is telling you. And just noticing what the very act of presence brings to your body and mind. And now I'm going to invite you to take a deep breath in. Breathe it out. Take another inhale and exhale, and then I'm going to begin our count of 5 breaths. So catch up where you are. Take a deep breath in. 2, 3, 4. Out. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. In. 2, 3, 4. Out. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. In. 2, 3, 4. Out. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. In. 2, 3, 4. Out. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. In. 2, 3, 4. Long, slow exhale. Release the breath count. And just gently, slowly come back to the room, opening your eyes. How did 5 slow breaths and checking in with your body feel? Got some thumbs up. Good. Did it feel challenging or relaxing? And throw it in chat if you want.
Definitely relaxing.
Okay.
I would agree.
5 breaths can shift our entire nervous system. So we have our activated sympathetic, we have our calmer rest and digest. Sympathetic is good. It's what Michelle and I are on right now doing a presentation. But when the saber-toothed tiger comes, that's like super activated. Within just a few breaths, we can calm ourselves down into that relaxed state. So I just want to invite you to remember this experience. Donna Fari says, when you own your breath, nobody can steal your peace. So at any point, driving, in the grocery store, with your family, deep breaths. Take that as a template and an opportunity for this season. Okay, so mindset, getting into the mindset. There is a Stanford study that says mindset alone contributed to a 30% improved success with long-term behavioral change goals. So when we engage the correct or a healthier mindset, it can really lend to improvements and changes. So I want to just ask, what are your health goals through the holidays? How do you want to feel through the holidays? How do you want to feel on January 1st? Just throw out any ideas you have.
Well,
Okay, you want to feel well, good. That's a good one. Yep. Refreshed. Okay, Wendy, I don't know if yours is relaxing. Refreshed is your how you felt after the breath, or that sounds like a great holiday goal. Brad wants to be down 10 pounds. Perfect. Okay, great. That's a good one. Linda doesn't want to feel bloated. Okay, sorry, Michelle. Chime in.
No, I wasn't saying anything.
Thinking through the holidays, yeah. Just throw out maybe one or two or three more. Or have you even thought about it? And that's okay.
Beginner's mind has been on my mind already, but I think New Year's a great time for that, and it's been helping me a lot recently with all of my expectations of the past not working.
Love it. Okay, so bringing in a beginner's mind. Decluttered.
Oh, that's a good one. When you
Yeah. Michelle, you want to grab that one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mary says, I want to feel calm this holiday season, not pressured to do it in any other way than what feels right for me and my family. I love that.
Yeah.
So looking back in January, you want to say, okay, that was a great holiday and you did, you honored yourself and your family and did what was right and not necessarily not what was expected or pressured. That's really good.
Yeah.
Astrid wants to feel happy.
Love it. These are some good ones.
Really good.
So we're thinking of mindset. A lot of times, I don't know if anyone has read Atomic Habits, but in Atomic Habits, they talk about outcome goals versus identity goals. So outcome goals are kind of like, I want to lose 10 pounds. Identity goals align us with who we want to become. So and a lot of these tips we're talking about in this class are going to be like life tips, not just the holidays. So they find research shows that people that have anchor their goals in their identity, instead of just things they want to do and an outcome, but the kind of person they want to be, have 2 to 3 longer times sticking with their habits. So when you start saying things instead of just, I think it's great to say, I want to lose 10 pounds, but something more like I make healthy choices that help me maintain a healthy weight. I am somebody that I support my health year round. I'm a calm and no, I don't want to be a calm and reactive person, a calm and non-reactive person. So kind of thinking about who you want to be, which kind of aligns with Mary's comment, like, I want to be somebody that makes choices for myself, that makes me and my family happy. Does that make sense? That makes sense. Difference? So with that, if you have a pen or a paper there, maybe jot down, instead of just your healthy goals, who do you want to be through the holidays? Someone who, I am someone who.
I want to be Santa Claus.
Perfect. That would be an identity goal, major shift. So that might involve some weight gain over the holidays.
I don't need to gain that much.
So just taking that time to remember that they find that like, even just with like, in like alcoholics, it's like, I don't want to be somebody that doesn't drink. I want to be somebody that wakes up feeling clear-headed and healthy every morning. And then from there, your actions follow naturally. So deciding who you want to be, regularly revisiting your intentions. Outcomes are what you get. Identity is who you become. Like I now, after my 25-year journey, I'm like, I'm a healthy person. Like that's unequivocal, 92%, 98% of the time. Focus on how your body feels. Does it feel calm? Does it feel peaceful, or does it feel anxious? So you want to start really tapping into your body, and then really practicing self-love, patience, acceptance. We never do well when we're pounding ourselves with expectations. We usually do much better when we are leaning into grace and self-compassion along the way. Okay, Michelle.
All right. So now that we're in the right mindset, and you have your intentions and your outcomes, we're going to dive into sort of the meat and potatoes, so to speak, and talk about practical tips to help you thrive, not only through this season, but really these are things that you can incorporate into your everyday life. So the first thing is finding a holiday hideaway or a hideout, if you will. And this is a quiet space. It can be a room in your house, a corner of your garden, even your car, just somewhere you can go to reset when needed. This is somewhere where you won't be distracted, even by your phone, and you can take a few minutes to yourself when you need to ground and recalibrate. You can even use this time to do the breathing exercise we did earlier. That's a really great way to recalibrate.
Love it. Hey, sleep. Oh yeah, sorry.
I was going to talk. Yeah, I was going to talk
no,
about
go ahead.
early. Yeah. So, and it kind of leads into that. So, waking up early, which I know for me is really hard and is hard for a lot of us when it's dark and cold in the morning. But if you can just get up, an hour ideally, or even 15 minutes earlier than your household, before the hustle and bustle of the day begins and your to-do list takes over, it's a really great way to set yourself up for success. So studies have shown that a calm morning lowers stress reactivity by 30%, and morning routines can boost positive emotions by 25%. So starting with some hydration, which we're going to talk more about in a little bit, but we wake up super dehydrated. If you think about it, you probably wouldn't go 6, 8, 9 hours during the day without taking a sip of water. And that's what happens when we sleep. So the first thing you need to do before coffee, which I know is really hard, is grab a big glass of water with lemon or some electrolytes if you can to get your brain going. Or if you're like me and you need something warm in the morning, grab a big cup of hot water and drink that before you have coffee or anything else. If you can get sunlight, which I know is also hard, but any light in your eyes in the morning will reset your circadian rhythm, gets you moving. If you can do some light movement, some breath work, journaling, meditation, listen to something or read something inspirational or motivational, whatever works for you, just take this time for yourself in the morning. These type of intentional habits in the morning improve mood and emotional regulation for up to 12 to 16 hours. So you're really setting the tone for the day. If you're not a morning person, or you don't have time to yourself in the morning due to young kids or what have you, pets that need walking, you can do this in the evening as part of your wind down routine, and it will really set you up for good restorative sleep, which Britta is going to talk about next.
Perfect. Yeah, I read today that 1 to 2% drop in hydration reduces energy, focus, and mood. Our brain literally shrivels if we are not hydrated. I was like, that freaks me out.
Especially if you're knocking back the nog the night before, right? So add that in. And
exactly. All right. Precious sleep. Sleep helps regulate emotions. It improves our decision making, helps process both food and feelings. People that don't get enough sleep, they've done studies where it's like if you pulled some all-nighters, you actually, if you got pulled over, would have the same reaction as like a DUI. So you can get like drunk driving under the influence of no sleep kind of things. So it affects us that deeply. And adequate sleep reduces appetite and sugar cravings. I don't know if you knew this, but when you get bad sleep, leptin, a hormone, goes down. That regulates our appetite and our energy. So that's less in our body. And what increases is ghrelin, that goes up, and that is our main hunger signaling hormone. So basically you're fatigued, and anything that's going to make you healthy and regulate your appetite goes away, and you're going to be getting more of the hormone that's going to make you want to eat more. So sleep really does impact. So aiming for 8 hours, good quality sleep. I know that some of us have a harder time with that. Some really great tips from, Michelle already said we set the tone early in the morning. And then at night, we're encouraged to turn off all overhead lights by 8 p.m. So by 8 p.m., you only have lamps going. So like lower lighting, we are starting to set the tone for our falling asleep. We'll talk in a little bit about some other tips to help with sleep. Moving your body daily. I mean, we hear this, but it helps so much with mood. It helps manage our blood sugar. It helps us with our sleep. It helps with our immune system. Less muscle tension, more clarity. Movement, even 2 to 5 minutes. They kind of say that in our sedentary lifestyle, at least about 5 minutes every 2 hours, we should be getting up. And that's like at least to move around. That's not even going out and doing the marathon run. There actually is science that says it's better to do 5 minutes every hour, every 2 hours than even go and run, 15 miles later that day. It's the sedentary lifestyle that is really affecting us and causing all of the heart issues, all of the issues that we kind of know are our major killers. So regular movement, and then especially after every meal, there should be some type of movement. Even just a little walk with your family, with your friends, even just getting up and moving around your house, stretching, doing some chair yoga is a really great way to help with the bloating, Linda, digestion, lethargy, and then it really helps with every time we eat a meal. Anytime we eat anything, our glucose spikes. Obviously, based on what we eat, it's more at other times. And so getting up and moving is going to help with that. So these are some main tips, and you'll notice we don't even say anything about what you guys probably thought we were going to be talking about, which was maybe just food. Did you have anything you wanted to say more there, Michelle?
No, I think that's it. I mean, the only thing I'll say in case I forget later, is that all of these things, right? I was thinking about this earlier, is really about keeping your baseline at a good level, right? So if you're going into these events or family events or something like that, and you're already stressed out, you're sleep deprived, you are not hydrated, you're already sort of like at your wit's end, so to speak, and your mom or Uncle Joe says or does something that triggers you, you're going to not be able to handle that situation as effectively as you would be if you had taken a few minutes that day to like take care of your needs in the morning, or you have your holiday hideaway where you can go and take a breath, and doing all these things. It just really, again, it just keeps you at a good baseline so that you're able to kind of handle any other situations that come up more in a less reactive way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and impulsively. And that's a great point. So yeah, our nervous system is a pay it forward system. So whenever we spend time cultivating the parasympathetic rest and digest calm state, that pays forward, and it can pay forward a couple days. So for every time that you're doing something calming, it definitely scientifically is setting you up. In turn, it goes the other way too. So beautiful. All right. Don't be annoyed with this, but I'm going to talk about creating a plan during the holidays when we already have so many plans. We're like, no, I don't want the pressure of a plan. Studies show that people are 3 times more likely to succeed with their goals when they have a plan of when, where, and how they are going to accomplish something. Plans reduce stress and they increase success. However, we all get thrown off of our plans. What kind of things throw you guys off of your plans, not even tied to the holidays?
Laziness, apathy.
Okay. So some of your, all right.
I was just going to say life, like maybe someone gets sick in your family or something happens to someone else in your family.
Yeah.
I'd say if it's the first time trying the plan, whatever it might be, and perhaps it just, you didn't realize different things that could impact it, or the plan just wasn't dialed in and it needed to be iterated upon.
Yes, I love that. Thank you, Mary. Yeah, so like how well defined had it been and how well, and that's the beautiful things. There's that quote that's like, even the best laid plans go awry, but without a plan, we go awry. So it's like this nice balance of like figuring out what is going to be a healthy thing. So benefits of a plan, when we have a plan that takes into consideration everything. So we take that time to think about it. We can set up systems, processes. We can ask for help. We can kind of look ahead, plan ahead. And that is where you try to do as much as you can to think like, what could come my way? There's a thing called decision fatigue. And it is mental exhaustion that happens when we are making too many decisions and when we have too many things thrown our way that come our way. And then especially like Michelle said, if we're not like kind of on track with things. So when we have decision fatigue, it's literally our biology. It's not a character flaw. When we have too many things that are coming at us and we haven't planned, our willpower drops, we become more impulsive. So what to plan? Looking ahead at your week, one of the things you want to look at is like what's in my control and what is out of my control. You want to look at events and anticipate like what's coming up that I know for sure. And I still use, my calendar's leaning against here. I use a hard copy calendar because I like to visually see. I know I use soft and hard copy calendars. So that you can kind of see the big rocks. Like I've got this party, this event, this thing. Then you can look at where do I have spaces that I can put in things that are within my control. And then you set things up like calendaring in your exercises, your meditation, your meal prep. I have a roommate that does great meal prep weekly. Stocking your kitchen with all the healthy things, carving out your night or two for yourself is going to be so helpful in planning your week. So looking ahead, planning your day. So you already know what's happening on your week. You look at your calendar, you start with a healthy decision, a grounding decision right out of the gate. Maybe it's that meditation, that quiet time. Maybe it's that I wake up and have right away a big glass of water, whole lemon squeezed in it with green powder. That's my first little thing where I tell myself my health is worthwhile. I am worthwhile here. Then I take those few minutes of meditation. Again, my schedule is worthwhile. It goes beyond, and that sometimes means waking up earlier. So being aware, making a grounding decision, and then planning your meals. Michelle's going to get in great to some of this, but aiming for balance in your meals, making sure that you have good fuel, you're fueled, you're hydrated, you've got enough good stuff that you're not going into last supper mode when you go to your party. And some of us will say, well, I have the party, I'm not going to eat all day, so that then I haven't put enough calories in, so then I can like chow down. And that is going to inevitably lead us to binge eating, binge drinking. You do much better to fuel and hydrate all day so that you go in well prepared. And then finally, planning for your triggers. Know what your trigger foods are, your trigger behaviors, and maybe set a limit for the season. I only have 2 glasses of wine at a party. I only have one of the treats, and we're not talking like Cheesecake Factory, like reasonable size treats. So and you kind of set this goal around like, this is what I do. And when I was doing no sugar for 4.5 years, I would just go into places and I'm like, that's not for me. I'm even coaching a lady where I'm like, okay, like think about like if you saw baby food, like you're not going to like go eat your baby's food. You're like, that's not for me. That's for the baby. Like even tell yourself, like once you've gone beyond a certain thing, or if you want to put limits, you can just be like, that's not for me. And you just let that be like something that you own. Anything in there, Michelle?
Yeah, I just wanted to point out and see if you wanted to address, Mary made a good point that she tends to overplan to the point of exhaustion. So planning is actually what gets in the way sometimes. So do you want to address, that's a really good point. And we certainly are not trying to add more, right? And when people already have so much planning to do, and you don't need to overthink this, but it's just about, right? Like looking ahead and planning through your week and your day and trying to find points in there where you may not be able to control what's being served at this, whatever event, but you can control your decisions, before and after. And so where can you have some control in your day?
Yeah. Yeah. Because I know you were kind of indicating like you want to be able to feel that ability to intuitively know what you and your family needs through the holidays and not be forced into doing other things. So that's going to be what feels good for you in terms of, oh yeah, okay, I'm not feeling like I'm totally thrown off course, but I'm not feeling like I'm over planning. It's a healthy balance. Okay. And then finding some checkpoints along the way. So, it's a great time to just regularly ask, how am I feeling right now? Am I feeling like I'm aligning myself with, again, going back to the person that you want to be through the holidays? And we each have our own goals. What is that? And that none of us can tell you what that means for you, but who's the person you want to be? Maybe you've set a few outcome goals, but just checking in with that. And a great time to do that is to evaluate in the evening. How am I feeling physically, emotionally, mentally? So this would be your chance, Mary, to be like, all right, it didn't help to let it go that crazy, and not have a plan. I might want to go a little more planned tomorrow. And there's never going to be a day that it's exactly the same. And we know that about life, but just checking in. How am I feeling? What would I like to do the same tomorrow? What do I want to do differently? Then you let that go. Maybe you write it down so that then you can let it go. Let your worries go on paper too. Go to bed, wake up in the morning. You have ideally, your little grounding moment. What is your morning commitment that you committed to that day from the night before? And then what do you feel motivated for today? Look at your calendar, see what's ahead. Maybe you've put a note card of how you want to feel through the holiday. You check in, look at that. The book Intuitive Eating is a beautiful book. And it's a beautiful way of living out of our crazy diet society. It is one of the ways that I try to eat. And that is after each meal, each snack, each event, stopping, quieting. How do I feel? Do I feel jacked up because of what I ate? Is my heart racing? Is my blood sugar spiking? Do I feel lethargy? Do I feel gassy? Do I feel bloated? And you just take this moment to be like, how do I feel? Or did I come home from that event and you're like, oh, I just had to have 3 glasses of water and 4 Advil, hoping I feel good after all the wine I had at that party. It's a great time to check in. And then there's something called anchor points. And it's also tied to habit stacking. This is again with habit formation. So I'm going to go 2 approaches here. Habit stacking is each of us has behaviors that we automatically do every day that we don't even think about. Hopefully brushing our teeth is one of them. We usually have to get in our car or walk through the front door. There are things that we stop at a certain stoplight all the time. You can pick an anchor point as your time to check in. How am I doing? Because again, we're talking about these as checkpoints. How am I feeling today? It's also a great time to pair a new habit with anchor points. So what they say is if you take something you do every day, add something that you're trying to get used to doing, you start to pair the 2 together and it starts to become automatic. I used to not meditate. I love my coffee. I was not allowed to have my coffee. This is true. This is my story. I wasn't allowed to have my coffee until I did my meditation breath work. I started to pair the 2 together. Now I meditate every day because I see those things as tied together and they make me very happy. So you could say, whenever I walk through the front door, I go in and I take a big glass of water. So anchor points, habit stacking, your anchor points are the thing that you do regularly. And then you can attach something new you want to do, or you can think about how you're doing during the holidays. And then another great thing is having accountability partners. If you want to talk with, spouse, friend, partner, your cat, good chance to kind of think question how you're doing. Perfect. Everyone good? Okay. Cravings are going to happen. We are going to make poor choices. Nothing is a poor, I think everything is a learning experience. I mean, 40 times later, it might be a poor choice, but everything is just a chance to learn about ourselves. But if you are going through the holidays and you are feeling overwhelmed, overprogrammed, it doesn't even have to do with eating. This could be doing too much for people, spreading yourself too thin. There's a phrase in the 12-step programs called HALT. Ask yourself, am I hungry, angry, lonely, or tired? Usually when one of those four show up, we're going to do the poor behavior after that because we haven't taken care of what the true need is. So if you ever are ready to just do something that you think this is probably not going to serve me, ask yourself that, fulfill the need, and then see if you will need to do the behavior. Thinking ahead, another phrase that comes from 12-step programs. Thinking through the bite. And I used a 12-step program on my journey for health because I needed support for a while. So what will your body feel like after you take this bite? After you drink too much? After you try to spread yourself too thin and throw 7 parties? Thinking through and pausing because you've done it before and being like, oh yeah, I usually feel like, excuse my French, shit after I do this. So it's a great time to kind of think through, do I want to do it? Taking the 5 deep breaths. Andrew Huberman says fastest way to calm the brain is through the breath. And then reset. If you have done anything that you just are like, I need to reset, this especially has to do with food too. Have a high protein snack immediately. Even if you're full, take a few big spoonfuls of some Greek yogurt. Do something different than like if you've had a lot of sugar kind of thing. Have some nuts, have some nut butter. Take a walk or get up and stretch. Have a big glass of water. Call a friend. If you're really tired and the answer to HALT was tired, non-sleep deep rest. It's called yogic sleep. It's everywhere now. You can find on YouTube, Spotify, Insight Timer, anywhere you can go on and say NSDR, and you can find a meditation that is meant to put you into this weird stage between consciousness, so sleep, and awake. 10 minutes, even if you didn't like totally fall asleep, if you lay down and listen to an NSDR, you will literally feel like you took a nap. Andrew Huberman does it every day. So highly encourage NSDR. They're also beautiful to fall asleep with. You want to kind of look to see if sometimes there's ones that have a bell at the end that wake you up and then some that don't. I still usually sleep through it.
Awesome. All great tips. But as we know, sometimes things don't go as planned. And this is a great quote from Bob Feller, who I had to look up, but he is a legendary MLB Hall of Famer. And he says, every day is a new opportunity. You can build on yesterday's success or put its failures behind and start over again. That's the way life is, with a new game every day. And that's the beauty of it, right? Every day, actually, it doesn't even have to be every day. Every moment is a new opportunity for us to choose. We can recalibrate, one breath, one pause, one choice at a time. Just because you overdid it one night or things didn't go as planned, you can make a different choice in the next moment. So don't throw in the towel for the day or the week or the season because you made one, poor choice or it didn't go as planned. Just get up, do it differently next time.
Love it.
All right, so now we're going to get into the nutrition portion of the program, and I'm just looking at time. I might kind of speed through this a little bit, but we want to focus mostly on nutrient density. And this is a great quote from Joshua Rosenthal, who is the founder of the Institute of Integrative Nutrition, which is basically the gold standard, the world's most respected nutrition and health coaching school, which Britta has completed, and that's my ultimate goal. But it says, if you fill your body with healthy, nutrient-dense food, it is only natural that the cravings for unhealthy foods will lessen substantially. So what do we mean when we talk about nutrient-dense? You guys have heard us mention it a couple of times. I'm sure you heard of it before. Some of you may already know this. But as we know, the modern Western diet is often energy rich, but nutrient poor, meaning lots of calories, lots of empty calories. So basically, lots of things that we're presented with around the holidays. Nutrient dense foods, on the other hand, are rich in vitamins, minerals, fiber, and antioxidants, and without excess saturated fat, added sugars, or sodium. Think fruits, vegetables, whole grains, low fat dairy, fish, lean meats, nuts, and legumes. So everything you see here on this list. Lots and lots of options. The most nutrient dense foods are real and unprocessed, so they're not chemically altered or filled with synthetic ingredients, and they deliver high nutrition with relatively low calories. So avoiding low nutrient dense foods, or the opposite of that is highly processed foods, is important, but equally as important is increasing nutrient density by choosing seasonal and local produce whenever possible, growing your own, which is kind of challenging in the winter months, and emphasizing leafy greens, berries, and non-starchy vegetables. So how do we do this? Again, throughout the holidays and in daily life. You want to go to the next slide?
Yep.
So this is another IIN strategy, and this is called crowding out, which is focusing on what you can add instead of what you should avoid. I love this strategy. I use this all the time because I like to eat everything. And so I try to make sure that I'm just having a good balance and that I'm adding things in instead of taking things out and being restrictive. This isn't about restriction. It's about nourishing and supporting your body. So crowding out is about adding more healthy foods rather than taking things away. So most people, you myself included, think that they have a long list of things that they need to not eat. But by removing our favorite foods, we're actually creating deprivation. And those foods are actually giving you something you need. And we'll talk about that, the important vitamin P, pleasure, in a little bit. But instead of eliminating them, you should crowd them out. So this graphic, you probably have seen this before, but it's a good visual of a balanced plate. Because remember, we're striving for balance here, not for perfection. It's about keeping your body nourished and fueled and energized so you can do all the things that you need to do. And when you add nutrient-dense foods in, your body begins to actually crave these foods more often. So if you think about it, the body only has so much capacity. And when you fill it with nutrient-dense foods, cravings for other foods naturally decrease. So a couple strategies here are to start early. So eat and drink what nourishes you earlier in the day. This reduces what we talked about earlier, the decision fatigue, and leaves less room and desire for less supportive choices later on. So again, get up, have that healthy breakfast if you can, and make your healthy choices earlier in the day and know that you've nourished yourself and given your body what it needs. And then you can enjoy the evening dinner or whatever it is that you have going on. And then another, I was going to talk here about the party or event, about not starving yourself as a good reminder. I have a story about that. So my old firm that I worked for, I used to work for, they did a big holiday luncheon every year. And I knew it was coming and I would not eat the night before. And I certainly wouldn't eat breakfast the morning of. And I would show up to the lunch and I would just fill up my plate with everything. I would sit down and absolutely inhale it. And then I would feel like crap afterwards. And so after a couple of years of doing that, I was like, that's not really how I want to do. And it's not a good look for me. And I wasn't present with the people that were sitting with me. And I was just like, leave me alone. I want to eat my lunch. And so in the morning, I would have like a smoothie or some yogurt with some nuts or something so that I knew that I had already fueled my body with things that it needed earlier in the day. And then I wasn't showing up totally ravished to the event. And I was able to really be present and enjoy the food and not feel like crap after. And then another trick is to make your nutrient-dense foods accessible and appealing. So choose foods that you actually like from the previous list, which there's lots on there. I'm sure you can find something, including dark chocolate, that is on the list. And take a few minutes each day or each week to prep your food instead of just throwing it in the fridge after grocery shopping. So this goes back to planning, and I think it was on the planning list. But I used to do this too. I would go to the grocery store, I would buy all these beautiful, delicious fruits and vegetables, and I would come home and just throw them in the fridge in the bag that they were in. And if I didn't have a plan for using them, I would go back a few days later and they would all be spoiled. And so now what I do as I'm unloading my groceries, I will take them out, nothing else, take them out of the bag that they're in or the container that they're in, and I'll put them in a clear container or a different container so that I can see what's in there. But if I have some extra time, I'll chop up the cucumbers, I'll chop up the bell peppers, carrots, I'll put them in baggies so they're ready to go for grab and go snacks. I'll even like cut up onion, because sometimes for me, the difference between cooking dinner and takeout is literally if I have to cut an onion, I won't do it. So chop up some onion, put it in a container, it's ready to go. So just depending on the time you have, and again, not to stress anybody out with everything else they have to do, but this is a really, really good trick for making these nutrient-dense foods easy and accessible to you.
Love that.
Anything you want to add on that, Britta?
No, I love it. Yeah, my biggest thing is what I now do every day is my green smoothie. I'm like, if I can at least get my green smoothie with protein powder and lots of kale, spinach, cucumber, nuts, kefir or yogurt, that's where I'm like, all right, at least I did that today.
Yeah.
And that does help me feel satiated then through the day. And I've kind of set things up. Yeah, love it. No more soggy radishes in the bag Wonderful. Thanks so much. I love that sharing. You guys might notice something interesting along this plate: relationships, physical activity, career, spirituality. It sounds a little bit like thriving, right? That is also part of our plate. Lucy says, all I really need is love, but a little chocolate now and then doesn't hurt. In the Institute of Integrative Nutrition, they talk about us being nourished in two ways. We have our primary foods. This is non-nourishment food. This is not stuff that's on a plate. It is relationships, career, purpose, physical activity, spirituality, joy, connection. These are off the plate elements that feed our overall well-being. When primary food is lacking, people often try to fill the gap with actual food. And the other food is called secondary food, which is our actual food. And you can never fulfill a primary need with a secondary food. You may enhance a secondary food by having a beautiful dinner with your friends where you're laughing and you're connected and the food and everything just tastes and feels so much better. But you can't fill that when we're home and binge eating, and I've been there. We have to work on both. And that is true nourishment. Wellness is the balance of both. So it takes us full circle back into thriving to remember that all of this is balance. All of this is part of it. And this season is like this microcosm of like everything we've talked about. Like all nutrition life concepts are like in this little, we have 28 days before the clock strikes midnight and we start a new year. So 28 days from today. And so it's this little microcosm. And there's really an important part of all of this, which is so fun, and it's the vitamin P, pleasure. Mark David is the founder of the Institute of the Psychology of Eating. Out of Boulder, I went to one of his conferences. He says, pleasure is an actual requirement in the nutritive process. Our brain and digestive systems scan each eating experience to see if we've reached the requisite level of pleasure. If not, we still feel hungry. So I remember making an asparagus smoothie once, like thinking, oh, this is so healthy. And it makes my stomach turn right now just thinking of it. It was so gross. And then I'm like hungry the rest of the day. So the brain and digestive system scans every eating experience to determine, was there pleasure here? And without that satisfaction, we do keep signaling some type of hunger. This is physiological, not willpower. Like we have to have enjoyment. Intuitive eating is really all about just like listening to what is feeling good, from behaviors to eating. And when we actually feel that pleasure, we actually digest better. The parasympathetic nervous system kicks in. One of the first things that stops when we're eating and the tiger comes is our digestive system working. Well, the first thing that gets back online when we start to feel calm is digestion working. So if we're stressed, That's why we're having gas. That's why we're bloated. That's why we're not feeling good. We need to slow down. So tips for cultivating pleasure: be present, breathe. We need that oxygen to actually help with digestion as well. Think about a stove, like a wood burning stove. If you cram it so full of wood, then there's no oxygen in there to burn the wood. We need oxygen in our body to burn our food, to digest, to have that metabolism going. So we want to slow down the hara hachibu. Michelle knows how, is that how you say it?
I think so.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
This is eating to 80% full. So like look at that plate and be like, I'm going to pause and take a couple breaths and have a glass of water before I finish this whole thing. Savor, choose foods that you enjoy. Pick foods you genuinely enjoy that make you happy. And then create nourishing experiences, like have candles going, make it a good sensory experience for yourself. Vitamin pleasure, and vitamin A is vitamin attention. Okay, awesome. Camille, thank you for joining. Okay, we're winding down now. So final quote: when you take care of yourself, you give your best, not just what's left of you. And that's for ourselves as well. So as you move through the holidays, just remember you have the power to choose how you want to feel. Thriving is not about perfection. It's about presence. It's about practice. It's about attention. Simple practices, nourishing foods, breathing, hydrating, taking some quiet time, moving can create a profound sense of calm, resilience, and presence, which is going to make you feel better, and it's going to make you more available and pleasurable to our family members and friends. So it's honoring your needs, be compassionate. We are really just encouraging all of us. We're meant to thrive through this season, not struggle, not survive, to thrive. And then, I know for me, my goal is I want to wake up on January 1st, excited to take a yoga class and go on a great hike with my friends. Like, go do something so that then that first day of the year is like, yay, I'm outside doing something great and I feel good. Michelle, do you have any? I love these topics. I'm passionate about creating lives where we are always feeling like where we are feeling like we're thriving. And thriving is just sometimes feeling like, you know what, I'm giving this my best. That is thriving. Like, yeah, there's a few things I could do differently and tweak, but overall, I feel like I am doing some really good things for myself. So, yeah. Anything you want to share, Michelle?
No, that's it. I just think of how sometimes when people, ask how you're doing and their answer is, I'm surviving. Like, don't do that. Don't do that anymore. Say, I'm thriving, if you are. And that's really the goal. So yeah, hopefully this was helpful. I know I got a lot of tips from this. So hopefully everybody else did too. If you want to leave in the chat one key takeaway or thing that you're committing to this season, we'd love to hear it. And then we'll be your accountability buddies too.
Yeah, you're welcome. We'll throw our contact information up here. If you want to email us, text us, we're here. Water first thing in the morning. Love it, Wendy.
Yes.
Big glass. Oh yeah, this is me. This is tea, this is water, and shortly there will be another type of drink added to that. The post-class drink, just having lots of fluids. This is about 0.75 liters, so 3 or 4 of these is great in a day. What else? Anyone else? Committing to at least one nutrient-dense meal per day. Love it, Mary. Really great tips. Going to prep my veggies and snacks.
Awesome.
I was inspired by that too. I'm a throw in the fridger.
Me too. Yeah.
And then throw in the smoothie when it's kind of like a little sketchy.
That's a good trick. That's a good tip. If you can make it between the fridge and the garbage,
yeah,
if you can put it in a smoothie, do that.
Yeah. Sometimes what I'll do just with that is throw stuff at the minute I see it getting bad, I put it in the freezer so that then at least I know I can use it in my smoothie without it getting so bad.
Savor my food. Yes, Linda. I'm there too. I inhale mine. More
Yeah.
water and walks daily.
Love it.
Yay. Astrid, come down here. We'll walk with you.
Where are you again?
Right down the street from your sister.
Oh, okay. I'll be there next week or 2 weeks.
Yay.
Yeah.
Well, you're welcome. Please follow us. If you want to be pinging us as your accountability partners, or you want to ask more questions. Does anyone have questions from this? You shared is there anything that kind of stands out that you want to ask before we pop off?
Really good reminders. So it was great.
Good. Yeah, stuff we know innately. Yeah, and Intuitive Eating, great book. I'm always one for sharing book titles if you ever want them.
Oh yeah. Who's the author?
Let me grab it. I was just using it for my health coaching. I have one client that loves, so it's Intuitive Eating, Revolutionary Anti-Diet Approach. Evelyn Tribole, Tribole, and Elise Resch, Resch. So yeah, it's a great one for getting us out. I grew up in a diet obsessed family of girls, and at 20 was like, get me off this crazy. Marissa was probably, we were just knowing each other as I was starting my journey. Remember, I would eat 5 specialty cookies.
Well, it was hard not to, because it was right downstairs, and
know.
the smell of cookies would be following.
I used to
down
work
the hallway.
across from a specialties in San Francisco, and I don't know why, but I would get the alerts when there was fresh cookies. And so we would all run down and get fresh cookies.
Yeah.
And that. But I was in my 20s too, and it didn't matter. I could eat 5 of them, and it was
I
fine.
know. Ours was specialties was on the bottom floor, and we were on the 3rd floor, I think. And it would the smell would just come up the elevator shaft.
These cookies, you guys, were giant, and they giant chunk of dark chocolate in the inside, and then the cookie around it, and they would serve it. Anyway, I can't even.
I used to get that cheese bread. Do you remember that? And it was just cheesy bread, and that was the lunch.
Too. Yeah.
Oh my God.
One thing on that is that these foods are literally proven to be addictive. So when we're why don't I have control? It's because these are addictive substances. They break down to the same sugar as booze. So it's we wonder, we're oh, they're an alcoholic. We're why can't I stop eating sugar? Well, it's the same thing happening in our bodies. So that is why the emphasis of eat that stuff. But literally, so what I've been doing lately is if I have a piece of, what did I have recently? It's this gluten-free pumpkin bread from Trader Joe's that's so good, and I make it with chocolate chips in it. But I use a big scoop of Greek yogurt with it. So there's a woman that's great to follow if you have sugar issues. Her name is the Glucose Goddess on YouTube. She's this darling French lady. She's got these great tips for how to balance your sugar and your glucose load. So she's super fun. If you want me to, I can send you the podcast that I think is one of the best. So.
Before we lose people, are we going to put we have a handout for you guys, a little one-page or cheat sheet that you can print out and put up, but we can drop it in here, but we're also going to, I think, email it out with the recording of this.
We're going to email you guys the recording, and you are so welcome to share the recording with anyone. We just want to share ideas and just be part of helping our nation thrive instead of just survive, or certainly struggle. So we're passionate about this. We've had fun preparing this. Thank you so much for attending, and wishing you happy holidays.
Happy holidays.
Thank you, ladies.
Come see.